Hello Blazers, welcome to episode 12 of UAB Green and Told. Through this podcast, we sit down with members of the UAB family to share their stories. Today, we're joined by Dustin Welborn, President and CEO of Down in Front Productions. As Dustin explains, he was a passionate Blazer fan well before he got to UAB.
I remember not getting to sleep a whole lot, especially once I got involved with Gang Green. It was constantly doing something every single day.
Through that fandom and his experience with UAB athletics, Dustin would wind up founding his production company.
It was kind of funny because it was like accidental, really, that we created an LLC. But there were probably it started with that intern group that I kind of came in with in UAB athletics.
And as Dustin will share, that accidental company is now growing.
Now, I didn't know it would go exactly like that, but it's all sort of been like a stair-step progress. It's really crazy that it all just happened the way that it did.
Dustin Welborn's story begins before he was even born. You see, his mom and dad are both Blazers. They met and fell in love at UAB. But Dustin's parents never pushed the Alexander City native into following their footsteps. However, they were UAB football and basketball season ticket holders, and that helped draw Dustin to become a Blazer.
I knew I wanted to do broadcasting. I knew that, and I knew that there would be opportunities here, and there were, and that is still true today. But really, one of the biggest things was the UAB-Memphis basketball rivalry, because we would come to those pretty much every year, especially when I was in high school. We would always come, and I just remember coming, and it was such a just crazy, ruckus environment, and watching the student section go crazy, and just how much the fans loved it, and how big of a deal it was. That was probably one of the neatest things, was those UAB basketball games against Memphis. That just really, I just loved that. I just thought that was awesome.
So have you always been drawn to sports?
Yeah, for sure. Just my family's always just been big sports fans, no matter what it was, from playing video games with my brother growing up and him always beating me and bragging about that, to just, actually playing basketball and soccer and different things growing up. That definitely was good. That kind of thing has always been, just fun.
Growing up, who was the basketball player that you were following at UAB?
At UAB, man, I remember Squeaky Johnson. I remember the Taylor twins. I remember Coach Anderson. I remember some of those names. And just the one year, I want to say it was 2004 or so, UAB and Alabama were both in the NCAA tournament that year. And I remember both teams went really far in the tournament, and it was just so cool. I think that was the year we beat Kentucky. It was really neat, and those guys were just, it was so cool that they played in Birmingham and beat teams like that, and we were so good, and it was just a neat environment. It really was.
By the time he was about to finish high school, Dustin was all in. For him, going to UAB was an easy decision, and he didn't even apply anywhere else. And it was from the time he made his decision that green and gold made its way into his wardrobe.
Senior year of high school, and I knew, I was coming here, it really started to change for sure. And then once I was here, it was every day wearing something with UAB on it, whether it's just a keychain or something. But that was always a big thing for me on campus was, some students are fans of other teams, and that's all well and good. But we always, and my group of friends, always made it a point that you only wore UAB things when you walked around campus. We always made a big deal about that, because it's important to show pride in where you are, and you're here for a reason, and they wanted you to be here, and all these things. And so we just always knew how important it was to showcase that you loved your school.
You said you wanted to come to UAB for broadcasting. Why broadcasting? What drew you into that career path? That's
a funny question, because just growing up, me and my middle brother, actually, I think we got it from my granddad when he passed, an odd object, but we got a tape recorder.
Okay, so yeah.
We would literally sit and actually plan out a show, and almost like doing a podcast. That's what I would call a version of a podcast, a tape recorder back then. This was 20 years ago probably. Yeah. But we got that tape recorder, and we would just do goofy stuff. We would sit there and we get throw it back and forth to one another and say things on it, and then we would make it more official and add commercial breaks, and just nobody ever listened to them except 2 or 3 different people. But that is kind of how it started, and just kind of like enjoying doing that. And of course, the sports and watching TV, and it all just kind of tied together. But anyways, it all just kind of almost naturally progressed, but it all kind of started with just goofing around with the tape recorder, and then I bought a camera, and do stuff with that. But it just kind of went from there.
And you arrive at the College of Arts and Sciences across the street here, and you start kind of putting that craft into practice a little bit more. What kind of things were you able to do video-wise and kind of piqued your interest?
We got to do so many things, and most of it was once I became an intern in athletics and UAB athletics. That's when it really got started. And I just remember, there were so many sporting events that needed to be web streamed, because that was kind of the time that was becoming popularized. When that was a thing that you did. You web streamed all your events, and we were interns, and then just one day it was like, hey, we need some people to run these cameras, and we were just there. We were just doing things, and they were like, hey, y'all can do this, right? And so we just got into it, and then it just kind of became obvious that that's what I definitely wanted to do, because that entertainment factor was always a big deal, just trying to make people smile or laugh or just have some reaction. And you could do it through video, and then we would just leverage that, and it was a lot of fun.
Almost from day one, Dustin found himself heavily involved. Now, he just had to figure out how to balance everything, because, after all, he was here to get an education.
In order to maintain the scholarship, you had to be a full-time student. So, it's not like I could do 9 hours and get by, but yeah, it was always 15, 17 hours of classes, and then, working in athletics, it was a couple days during the week at night with soccer and volleyball and baseball and things, and then the weekends you'd have basketball and football and all this kind of stuff. And I remember not getting to sleep a whole lot, especially once I got involved with Gang Green. It was constantly doing something every single day. You just have to find time whenever you could to actually do your homework. And I was always good about going to class. I was always there, no matter what it was. And I enjoyed all my classes, because I would always try to be the person that would just speak up and say goofy things in the middle of class. And I don't know if people like that or not, but that was how I was. And I remember I did broadcasting, and then I had a math and a history minor, and those three things generally don't usually go together. Sometimes history, but you don't usually hear math or that.
Yeah, no kidding.
I remember my advisor, Cassie Doggett, pushing me to do that one. And I was like, I should do that. And I'm glad I did, because I definitely used it a lot more than I would have thought. But how did I balance? I think that was your real question. I don't know. I think as long as you love what you're doing, it balances itself. It will kind of work itself out. And that was really the deal, was that I just loved doing the sports things and the video stuff, and then got to add to it with the class experience as well, and just your friends and everything. I always felt like at UAB I knew everybody.
Yeah.
I always felt like I could see. I couldn't walk from. I lived in Rast for 3 of the years I was here. I would walk from Rast to the old HUC or to Bartow or whatever. Couldn't walk down through there without seeing 10 or 12 people that you knew. That's just how it was. And it's still a big. It's not like it's a small school.
Yeah. You wound up being president of Gang Green. Were you one of the students that was pretty much at everything?
Oh, yeah. I was at everything, that's for sure. I always liked the Gang Green. I was involved with it even freshman and sophomore year when I wasn't an intern yet. I was still at basketball and football games and some other stuff too. But once I was an intern, I don't know why, but they just thought that I would be good for that. I guess because I was just that goofy, would try to say stuff to get, and they could tell, I guess other kids just wanted to hang around me for some odd reason. And then I did that for 2 years, junior and senior year. And it was so much fun. We would literally just try to do the stupidest things you could think of, paint up or wear goofy outfits or do whatever we could do to feel like we were being a distraction for the team we were playing. That's the things we would try to do. And sometimes it worked. Sometimes it was pretty awesome. But we had so much fun. It was crazy. But yeah, once I was the Gang Green president, I literally was at every UAB athletic event that ever happened. So, yes.
In 2013, Dustin graduated with a bachelor's degree in communication. He might have left campus, but he was far from leaving the Blazer family.
I had a couple of different things going on. Trying to figure out life was the main one, like everybody else at that stage. But I was still involved with athletics, because even at that point, I was kind of a freelancer before things got really established. I would, come run camera at basketball games or whatever, that I could do from a production side. So that was kind of a side job. I was working with Nowlin and Associates, which is an awesome financial services company over in Homewood, and it's an alumni-led business with Justin Kraft, and Charlie Nowlin's a huge supporter, and some other UAB folks over there as well. So I met him, through athletics, and what a great experience that was, because I mean, such a great business person in the city and in the state. I mean, everyone looks up to Justin, and Justin's been so involved with athletics, and so it all married together well. But I learned so much there about how to be an adult and how to be a business person and how to work with people and just so many things. So I had that going on. I was, working with athletics. I was kind of working with the Birmingham Barons, doing the same, production type stuff, and all that just kind of married together. And we would help out with the Birmingham Bowl, and we would do these other things, and it just progressively grew from there. But yeah, doing a lot of different things right out of college, I remember, and just kind of finding my way, and it all has at some point converged and made something sort of real. So
talk a little bit about that, because you go from working for the Barons, doing some things for the Birmingham Bowl, you're doing all this production stuff, but it's not your own. And it was probably during that time where Down in Front Productions started having the foundation laid. What went into that, and why become an entrepreneur?
It was kind of funny because it was like accidental, really, that we created an LLC. But there were probably it started with that intern group that I kind of came in with in UAB Athletics. So there were, 8 or 10 of us or so that were still kind of doing the athletic events. But we got to a point where a couple of the people that were in that group were working in sort of other areas on campus, and they were technically employees. So the issue was, if someone was working at the Alice Stevens Center or even the hospital and they were a W-2 employee, athletics couldn't pay them as a 1099 contract because it's the same entity, and you can't be both within the same entity. So for tax reasons and things beyond this podcast. But anyways, I remember Timothy Garner in athletics, there was conversation about how we could still, because those people were great, they were good at what they did, and we kind of needed their help and so forth to do the things we needed to do. So it was like, well, if there was this business that existed, or if there was an LLC, the LLC can hire whoever they want to and pay however the LLC sees fit, because then that's their thing. And then UAB just contracts with the LLC, and it's easier for UAB because it's one fell swoop and you're done. And then we just handle everything. So that was kind of how it started, was those 10 people, and then those couple people still got to do it because of it, and that's where it began.
And so the foundation was laid for Down in Front Productions. After a short message, find out what's next for Dustin and his fledgling business.
Go courtside with the UAB National Alumni Society for a special VIP experience. Join us for Alumni Day at Women's Basketball on Saturday, February 22nd. Your $10 registration includes a game ticket, courtside reception, as well as food and drinks. Don't miss out on this VIP experience. Get your tickets today at alumni.uab.edu/alumni day or visit alumni.uab.edu for more information.
After years of working with UAB Athletics and as a freelancer, Dustin Welborn ventured out onto his own and formed Down in Front Productions. But with the new company came collecting new gear and even staff.
To do production, you have to have equipment. That even like tape recorder when we first started, back 20 years ago. But no, I mean, like you said, yeah, it was so minimal. But we would use our knowledge, and most of the time it works out, and even still, where it's just we come in and the entity has the equipment. For sports, it tends to work out that way, and that's what it was for UAB. So, I mean, we would do those things, and we would do the Birmingham Bowl. We would go work at the Hoover Met. We'd just do anything we could do to make some money, to didn't just buy this one thing or these cables or this or that. And, I mean, it just got piecemealed together. And, I mean, there was times you borrow this or you borrow that from people you knew had, and you would just do that as much as you could as you're making it happen. Over a course of a few years, we finally, we're actually putting, sets and kits and things together, and just slowly but surely just continue. And we still, you still add to it as you go because things change. But man, it was crazy just to try to get things together. When we didn't have them, it was always a challenge. But we'd always find a way to make it work.
What were some of the biggest challenges in getting Down in Front off the ground and making it grow?
I think, honestly, we had such good people to start with, but just being able to find the right people really to make it grow has been one of the biggest things. Is, where do you find them? And most of the time it's just been UAB alumni or UAB students that kind of start working with us and then grow from there. That's probably one of the biggest challenges is just finding the right people that fit, our personality of what we are as a group, and then that want to learn and want to have fun. That's one of our requirements for people we look for is, number one, you want to have fun and you enjoy what you do.
Yep.
But then also the second thing is we want to be the best at what we do, the very best at everything. I always stress that in everything that we do. We're like top quality on everything, and we always try to do that. So I think that's really been the biggest thing is getting the staff together. Now I think we have a really good staff, and we're still trying to add to it. That's been a tough one. And then, like you said, you get to those decisions where you need to spend money, trying to decide how to do it. And then just so many hours of staying up late and editing and just getting things done, and you just do it because you love it, not because you make money at it. And I think that's really been the thing, is just keeping that mindset too, that no matter what it is, you just find a way. And so there have been a lot of challenges along the way, but fortunately, we've taken some good steps along the way, and now we're where we are. So,
when you're doing an event and actually working, do you find it hard not to be cheering for UAB when you're covering a UAB game?
Absolutely. Yes. every time. I mean, we're there, and it'll be close, and you always want to win. I mean, we try to do things to help us win, of course, especially on the video board because we have control of that. So, anytime we can do something to incite the crowd or get them involved a little bit, that and I understand too, because even as being in Gang Green as a student, you understood that those were your friends playing on the floor, and so you knew you could affect the outcome of the game, even if you really didn't. You thought you could. So, and we still think that too, using the video board. We'll do stuff like that, or you play a video or this or that. Anything you can do to help, you do it. So, absolutely, we always want to win, because ultimately that comes back. Winning breeds winning. So you do everything you can, because ultimately it's just going to help us. So, absolutely, yeah.
It's amazing to think that Down in Front Productions can trace its origins back to a single tape recorder that Dustin and his brothers got as kids.
Now, I didn't know it would go exactly like that, but it's all sort of been like a stair-step progress. It's really crazy that it all just happened the way that it did. Going to UAB, meeting the people that I met, doing the UAB athletics internship, which totally happened on a whim. I remember they would send an email in the summertime. I was like, hey, we're looking for interns, like they would do every summer and still do. And I just want that. Just after sophomore year, I saw that email, and as a student, I was bad at emailing. I know, especially freshman and sophomore year, it just wasn't a thing you did, But I was like, I should probably try to do that, because I love, UAB athletics. I go to all these games anyways. I didn't even have a resume. Yeah. I remember just going on Google, and back then Google even wasn't what it is now, and finding some template, and just putting some stuff in there. And if you asked the people who actually looked at that resume in that time frame, I think the only reason they called me in for an interview is because I was willing to work for class credit. Yeah. I think that was the initial thing. Oh yeah, he's cheap. We'll just work on that. and they brought me in, and then for whatever reason, like I said, just decided to keep me around, and it just went from there.
With such a rapid growth, it's only been around for 5 years, Down in Front Productions. Where do you see it going in the next 5, 10, 15, 25 years?
That's so crazy to think that we can grow more than we have now, because it's like drinking out of a fire hose. We're always doing something every single day, from editing to working events, you name it. Mm-hmm. But ideally, I would like to see another location, and that could potentially still be in Birmingham. We're almost at the point now where I feel like we need an equipment storage location, and then an actual administrative kind of location. But even beyond that, I think it would be cool to have a spot, probably ideally in the Huntsville area, just because we have some reach in Tennessee. We do a handful of weddings in Tennessee every year. We do a handful in Georgia. So I could see having one kind of in that area, because we even do some obviously in and around Huntsville as well. But expanding that way, because there's plenty of other sports teams and venues that need what we do. And like I said, it just all kind of works together. So ideally, I'd like to see that in the next 5 to 10. To have another established location with somebody running it and a team there. And then in 10 to 15, my wife Katie, we love to go to Disney and Universal and just goof off down there. We do that as much as we can, which isn't as much as we'd like, because we do both work so much, because she helps us as well, as on top of being a PTA. But we've kind of decided our ideal goal would be when I'm 40, which is in Almost 11 years. It's be about 10, a little over 10. We would kind of like to be retired and just literally do that. Just go to Disney and have fun and, have a family, obviously, and just be with each other. I mean, that's because she's my best friend. And so we kind of have set that goal. And it may be 11 or 12 years, when we get there. But that's our goal, is to kind of, and at that point, I'll just be like hopefully the consultant of Down in Front Productions. And if you need me, call me, but don't, kind of thing. But it'll be weird because, ultimately saying like I'm going to give that up. But I imagine I'll always have some level of involvement with it. But to see it get to a point where I can give it to someone else or others, if it be more than one person, and let them take it from there. And like I said, just be there when I'm absolutely needed, kind of thing, and then get to be with Katie every day would be awesome. So that's the ultimate goal. Whether that happens in 11 years or not is to be foreseen. But I'd love to have another location and to get some more leaders established in different areas and just start growing in those communities. Hopefully one or two of them would be amazing.
Just by being a sports fan, Dustin's able to remain connected to the school he grew to love as a teenager. And to him, giving back to his alma mater means the world.
I'm sure there's lots of folks that, have gone through their careers and they maybe send a check every now and then, or they come, to the homecoming game or something, and that works too. But for me, it's super cool because I always feel like when I'm here doing, it's a basketball game or I'm just here, whatever the case may be, just driving through or going to a restaurant downtown with Katie, it's just like you always see someone or you have a memory. And it just reminds you of how great it was and how important it was to where you are now. And it's motivation always, because you know that your success will go back and be success for what it works hand in hand, kind of like everything else we've said today. But it's amazing because it's so cool to get to know people here and to still know so many people here and to be able to call and ask for a favor when I need it, and hopefully vice versa. UAB can call and ask me for a favor, and hopefully I can do it. That's just a neat thing because it is such a hub for Birmingham and for the whole state to be so connected to it, and hopefully in a big way because I know, because I wouldn't be here if it weren't for athletics, so I know how important it is that the out-facing arm of UAB, which can be athletics in many ways, be really good. So those broadcasts are so important because someone on the other side of the world now can watch UAB football or UAB basketball on ESPN Plus, and has just heard about it through the hospital or whatever, but that gives them an avenue to feel like they're connected to this place. Yeah. And so it's cool because of that right there, just being able to help promote it, and vice versa, it helps promote me, and it's such a neat thing, and it's the people. Like I said, when I was a student here, it felt like you knew everybody, and it kind of still feels that way just because it really is a family. And I think that's just been established because UAB, it was such hard work to create it, and the same thing with UAB Athletics, such hard work to create it, so you always have those like super close relationships.
And that's Dustin Welborn, 2013 graduate of the UAB College of Arts and Sciences and CEO and president of Down in Front Productions. In 2019, Dustin and his company were part of the UAB Excellence in Business Top 25 Awards program. With a strong passion for the green and gold, just what does it mean for Dustin to be a Blazer?
So to be a Blazer, you have to understand that this wasn't a thing 50 years ago, which seems like a long time ago, especially somebody that would just go to school now. But if you understand that all the hard work and all the sort of battles that were fought by many people to make sure that this was here forever, you appreciate that you need to kind of have that same mindset, especially with Gang Green, that you'll do absolutely whatever it takes to be a menace to whoever we're playing, right? That's kind of what it means to me. You will do literally anything to find a way to win, right? You will just, at all costs, as a student, I feel like that's how you should be. But it's just really, truly, understanding the hard work that it took to make it possible.
You can find out more about Dustin and hear other episodes of the UAB Green and Told podcast by visiting alumni.uab.edu/Green and Told. Don't miss an episode. Subscribe to UAB Green and Told wherever you download your favorite podcasts. And while you're there, leave a review so others can find us. Do you know of an alum who would be a great guest? We'd love to know. Email me at greenandtold@uab.edu. And share our episodes on social media. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at UAB Alumni. Thanks for listening, and until next time, go Blazers.